All right, so in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can build and launch a MVP website for your SaaS application in less than half an hour. Okay, now I'm actually doing this for my own company, so what I'm about to show you is actually real. It's not a fake demo type of application. It's something I'm actively building out. And I was trying to think about what is the fastest way that I actually can do this and how I can wrap that up into sort of a package where I can kind of guide people on how to make it happen. And so that's what this video is about. If you're new to the channel, my name is Dwayne, and I focus on AI content, software tools. I'm a software developer, so I talk a lot about efficiency, etc. I haven't been posting a lot, but I'm going to be posting a lot more in the future. So with that, let's just jump right into it. Let me just show you what is it that I'm building, and then we'll go from there. So first of all, the tool that I'm building is doing a lot of things, and I won't go into the details of the tool, but I just want to basically let you understand what the problem is that I'm solving for and why this tool is so important. So I got my slides up here, and the first thing I'll show you is that in today's world, one of the biggest problems that you get with software, when you're doing lead generation, is the fact that, you know what, hang on a second, let me just swap slides here. So yeah, I won't go through boring you with all these details. Yeah, there we go. So when you are doing lead generation for yourself or for a company or whatever, generally speaking, you're using a whole bunch of tools, something similar to do your prospecting, which means you got to go find your leads, etc. And then from there, you have that data goes into some sort of CRM system, Zoho or Salesforce or Pipedrive or Monday.com, whatever it is. And from there, you're using a bunch of email tools, communication tools in order to get that done. And this has been sort of like the lay of the land for centuries. Tools like make.com and Zapier has helped you to kind of stitch these tools together. But for the most part, they're kind of independent, siloed sort of thought process. And that's something that we've been trying to focus on and trying to solve, because I'm actually going through some of these real world problems in my own business. If you also think about the sales, after that, you know, if the client was ready to go ahead, you got to do proposals and stuff like that, right? And you could use tools like panda.com and stuff like that. The problem is that this is just if you're a small business. If you're a larger company, it gets even worse. So let me just jump to show you what ended up happening. So this is the big problem here. The problem is that as a solopreneur or a marketer for a company, etc., is you end up spending most of your time trying to focus on how to sync and orchestrate data across these tools. And if you're online, you've seen any single thing like make.com or Zapier, they promise to help you with this integration. Well, for me, some of the problems that I have are beyond sort of like the scope of make.com without me paying exuberant amounts of money to solve those problems. And so that was sort of the birth of this tool that I'm building. To contrast, to add insult to injury, the market is extremely disconnected and fragmented with just an insane amount of software tools to do all kinds of craziness. And the problem is that everybody has their own independent way of solving problems, and not all of these tools have proper integration with make.com and Zapier and all these modern sort of low-code, no-code tools. So with that, we've been building a system that will help you to sort of sync that data across the entire process and do the lead generation. But more importantly, it's basically using AI. So that's a tool that we're building in this thing. Not necessarily the tool, but the application. Sorry, the website. I'm sorry, the website. Okay. So with that, what I've done so far, and again, this is real world. This is not a drill for me. Is I've been using ChatGPT to work through the details on thing. And so the first thing I actually did, so I did a sales presentation a couple of days ago. And what I actually did, not even a couple of days, I'm sorry, yesterday, it's just my brain's all foggy here. What I did was I took that sales presentation that I did, which literally is pretty much what I just explained to you. I took it into ChatGPT. I made a profile of it because it was the best sort of capture of my real-time thoughts in terms of like how I'm selling the tool, because it's such a brand new tool. And in doing so, got ChatGPT to sort of organize that into the core focus. And the things that I want to focus on really are seamless data synchronization, AI-driven lead scoring, and then hyper-personalization outreach. Those are the core things that I'm focused on. And with that, ask it to sort of help me with ICP, initial customer profile, which basically means who are the people that I'm targeting, companies between 5 and 500 employees, industries with primary users that have some sort of tech stack that they're already using Zoho and some of these sort of AI tools, sort of some of these CRM systems, and they're struggling with fragmentation, etc., etc., etc. So those are my sort of target clients, right, at this particular point. And then here I walk through sort of the details on, what are some of the problems that they might be experiencing, etc. So this is just to give me some foundation. And then I ask it to sort of like the solution. So this is problem solution. So go down a little bit further here, right? So what I wanted to do is build some landing pages, and it gave me multiple different types of landing pages that I could build. So a single page landing page, one with a lead magnet generation, one with a video first landing page. So I'm going to be building at least one of this right now. So the first thing I want to do is basically take that information. So I asked it to expand on the first one. So option 1, single page landing page, classic lifestyle. So stop wasting time. So these are the problems here, and this is the solution. And then option 2, what did I do? Where is it stopping? Let me just see here. So option 1, single page, stop wasting time. So these are problems that we're solving. These are the solution, how it works. AI, save your time getting. So that's the landing page that I'm going to be working. So I'm going to take this information here, and I'm going to use that as a benchmark, as a foundation over at bolt.new. So I'm going to go to bolt.new, and then what I'm going to do is I'll say, I would like to create a 2-page page, home and pricing page, right? For my okay, here are the content. So we'll use both.com to, oops, I gotta sign in 1 second here. So let me just copy this because you lose the information if I don't do this. I think my account is still active. We'll find out. Continue with GitHub. Oh, great. Gotta do authorization. Okay, we're in. Great. So let me just pause this until it kind of finishes, and then we'll go from there. One of the things I always forget to do is to tell it not to do a React app because I'm not a React fan. I want you to create a landing page thing. Here's the content. Create a Knox tree. So I'm getting it to redo that again because I actually, it's not that I don't like React, it's that I don't care for it. It's just my personal preference. So I prefer to do a Knox tree application. I think it's just a better framework. That's just my personal opinion. So anyway, the good thing about Bolt, which is really, really interesting and fascinating, is that it goes a step and beyond the other tools that I've seen so far. I'm hearing a lot about Cursor, so I'm going to be spending some time on this channel with cursor.ai and give you my raw take on that. However, Bolt is the fastest sort of framework that I found where it's just very seamless in terms of like how to actually put together a really, really quick application. And normally you could just sort of deploy it through their platform. I don't use that because I don't necessarily use their Superbase sort of their stack place. But if you wanted to, you could click on this deploy, and that will actually get you a full deployment right away that you could actually use. I won't be doing that. I'm going to be using Cloudflare in this particular case. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go across to Cloudflare. We're going to get that set up while we're kind of waiting. Again, these are my real life actual accounts. Oops. Verify. Okay, we logged into a lead score to a Cloudflare account already, and I'm going to basically go in here. I'm going to create a new app. We're going to call it Lead Score AI. Lead Score AI .web, because this is the web application. I'm just going to put some dashes because it's easier for me to see the name properly when I do this. LeadScoreAI.web is a private application. It's going to be a README. Actually, it doesn't have to be private, but it should be because there might be some other stuff there. So once I create this, I'm going to basically clone this repo. That's the first thing I'm going to do. So I'm going to clone that repo. I'm going to go down to my local, right click here, click on new terminal, and then we'll do a paste that clone. So that's going to give me a new directory that I could cd into, lead score AI, cod, and then we'll open up Visual Studio. It's just obviously an empty folder at this particular point, which is just a clone. The only reason I'm doing that is so that when I copy the files into it, I can just push that straight into, push the files from bolt.new into it. So here we got our website. So it puts a little logo here. We'll just keep every single thing as is for now. So home and price and praise, start a free trial, book a demo, problem. Okay, so I'm just going to take this as is. I won't even try to be fancy about it right now. I'll clean this up a little bit more and I'll make it a little more impressive. But what I really want to do right now is just get it launched. Okay, so with that, we're going to just take this as is. Actually, you know what? Let's make the, I want to change the color scheme. Let's make the color scheme purple blue. Something like that. Scheme more soft purple blue gradient. All right, so we're going to try that, see what happens. And then once that goes down, so it doesn't feel like just a stock blue kind of color. I don't really know. Yeah, we'll see. So let's just generate. Okay, so it completed, but it made it worse because now I can't see the actual button for this. And I ran into one problem here, Nox Dev Tool. So I'm going to click on this attempt to fix to see if it could fix the problem. So let's see if it could fix this. If not, then we're just going to just leave it as it is. Yeah, so it's running into a problem here. Great. So I think I could just go back to the previous rollback checkpoint. Yeah, so let's do that. This will revert back to the previous version. Yeah, there we go. Right. So we're just going to use this as a thing because I don't want to spend too much time on the AI portion. We're going to export this. We're going to download this as a file, export it into a folder, double click, and then just take all the files out of it. Okay. I'm going to copy that. I'm just going to take it over to the folder that I created, Nox3 mobile web, this one here, and then we're just going to paste that. Okay, so if I go to Visual Studio now, I have a bunch of files there. And if I do first I'm going to do a commit. Oops. So npm install. And then we'll do let's pause that. Okay, so npm is finished. Let's just do npm npx and uxc-nidv, and then that'll allow us to run this. So at least we could just test it, make sure everything is good. Again, we're not trying to change anything right now. We're just trying to get this launched. Then we're going to try to backtrack and fill in some of the details, you know, improve the content, etc. So we're just going to go here, localhost 3000. There. Okay. This is our new AI application, start free trial, and we have some pricing details, which is great, at least for a thing. So to start a free trial, actually we want to do one more thing. We want to make sure that this start a field trial actually goes to a form that the user can fill out. So let's make one improvement. Start a free to a to the registration form. Be sure okay, so we want a little bit more questions around the type of user that we're getting. So we'll do a registration form on that. And then after this, we'll pull this out. Again, we're going to launch this as is. So we'll show you that part next. Okay, so it generated the form, but I actually don't like, I'm not a big fan of these forms where the UI is just a little bit sort of like dark, but I'm not going to do any single thing else with it. I'm going to just, again, download it, and then I'll show you how I actually improve this form UI a little bit more by using another software tool. So let's just pull that down. We're going to take that and we're going to override the existing file. So let's just do here. We're going to go to downloads again. So this is the second version. Open that up. Take all the files from here and pages. And we're just going to take that, copy that, put that in here, paste, and replace. Replace everything. Perfect. Okay. Then if we go across there, Nux is going to be rebuilding because it's still running in the background. Let's see. Yeah, should pick up the change. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So exact same thing, except that the registration form now goes to this. Now I don't like this registration form. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over to v0.dev. And this is another great tool, fantastic tool. And what I'll do is I'm just going to tell it, I don't like this registration form. Can you just enhance it a little bit using Nux tree? And it just has better styling. I just found that to be the case. So register. So can you help me improve the UI? And give me Nux tree code. Now the reason why I'm telling it to use Nux tree code is because it's actually this this particular Control V. Yeah, that's fine. This particular thing is programmed for React, so it tends to always want to give a React code because that's how it was programmed. Because V0 is part of Vercel and they're just sort of React fans, so every single thing that it spits out is really React. So you always have to tell it, give me Nux tree code. Even sometimes when you try to reprompt it, I find that you have to tell it to give Nux tree code. So, okay, we'll let that go through. All right, so code is finished generating. Generally speaking, the preview on this tool doesn't really work that well, but I will say the code that it puts out is pretty phenomenal. So just bring that back over, registration form. Now Control A, Control V, replace it, go back to your preview, and I should have a better registration form. Okay, so what it did do a little bit better in the sense that it put a nice background on it, but what I don't like is the boxes are still not properly outlined. So ensure, I want to tell it please, that invisible, and so just enforce that I want to ensure that the text boxes are visible, right? Because I don't like this sort of like, this is just my personal preference. I find this to be really too hard to kind of see where the boxes are to click. And if you're new to you know, some of these systems, it just feels just not right to me. That's just my personal preference from a design standpoint. Okay, code is finished. Way better. So generally speaking, that's the prompt that I normally use, giving the text box properly highlighted, make it more visible, and so I get a significantly better text box. So we're going to take that, we're going to copy that code out, we're going to bring that over to here, register page. Copy there. I'm gonna paste that in. Now, interestingly, it didn't put back the style in there, but I think it all knows that it already has it. Then if I go to the registration page, fantastic. Okay, I won't even try to make this work right now because that's not what my goal is. My goal is just to launch this so that we could just use that as an accomplishment in this video, and then we'll go into the back-end details in a later video. So let's go over to. So with that, we're just gonna commit. Control C. Git add. Come on. Git add status initial commit. All right. So while that's being pushed up to the main branch, let's just double check that that actually went up correctly. Refresh. There we go. So we got a bunch of files there. We're going to go over class with Cloudflare, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a new application. So in Cloudflare, by the way, this is all free. That's the cool thing about Cloudflare, is that actually it's a really generous plan on the free tier. So you come into the free tier. They've now added this domains and platforms section here. This is pretty new, like I'd say the last couple of months for sure. So if you don't see that, you got to go down to workers and platform workers, and then I think it's compute, here, and then you could go workers and pages, and then you could do the same thing. So you could get to this section here, you could click on create. That will take you to the exact same thing, but they just I guess people normally use that a lot, so they just on the home tab they now have a developer platform. You could click create an application, click on pages, connect to Get, and then that will do is allow me to see the repository, the latest one, Lead Score AI. Click on that, and then click on begin setup. Again, I'm setting up a Knox tree application, so I'm going to leave the same name here. I want to connect to the main branch. I want to tell them the framework. So the framework is Knox. I don't really think this matters, but I think, and this matters here because this is the old Knox from Knox 2. So you need to do npx nuxi generate, generate. Okay, and it's going to go to this folder. Actually, I don't think that's right. It's going to go to the .output folder. Output folder, and then I think that's the end of it. Path and environment variables we won't necessarily do for now. Let's just run that and see. So first of all, what it's going to do is going to create a obviously application in Cloudflare. Secondly, it's going to connect to the Git. It's going to clone the repo into their system, and then it's going to try to build it, and then pick the output, put it in from the output directory, and try to publish it. So let's give it a second, and we'll be back in a bit. Okay, so it looks like I got a build error, and I want to make sure that I keep these errors in so that I don't thing. And I'm not entirely certain what the actual error is. So complete. All right, so let's just not waste time. Take that, bring it over to the GPT gods. Say using Cloudflare. Paste. Upgrade your node version. In Cloudflare, specify a node higher version using the Wrangler tunnel. Okay, got it. So we need to create a Wrangler file, or set the correct version in package.json. So let's just do this instead. See if that fixes CSU. So package.json, because I think the Cloudflare engines are a little bit older. No, I don't know if this is going to work, but let's find out. Package.json here. Did I get that right? Comma. Need a comma here. There we go. Okay, so let's just very obvious that that's what I did, but all right. So once I do a push, what's going to happen is that's going to be picked up by GitHub, and GitHub will automatically allow Cloudflare to pick up that push again. So I'm going to click on continue to project here, continue, and it should already, there we go. So it already picked up that another push was made, and it's going to try to do that rebuild again. That's the beauty about how the Cloudflare thing is set up, is that it's pretty seamless in terms of like just trying to get the, you know, every single thing going. So let's just look at the build system again. Not a failure. All right, so we might have to go a little more deeper here. So let's see. Root directory might be the problem here. So let me just think about this for a second. So no Wrangler file found. Okay, so I might have to install the Wrangler, and I think that's what the problem is. So let's just do that. But so what is Wrangler? Wrangler is Cloudflare sort of implementation for how do I describe it? Wrangler is basically the Cloudflare way to configure their systems and services. So we might have to use that. It's a config file. No. Cloudflare, go to Cloudflare dashboard, your project setting deployment, and say node version, and then do that, and save and deploy again. We did this, didn't we? Didn't we do it? Or we did? I don't think we did it. Greater than. Okay, let's try that first. And then I'm going to push this. Just put in a note so I could get that going while I kind of do the other part. And then what we'll do is we'll go to the Cloudflare. That's the problem with, as the frameworks change, the deployment applications don't necessarily keep up with, but these are just the real world problems that you run into when you're doing sort of this kind of development. So I'm going to go into Cloudflare, go to the manage deployment. No, we're going to go here. I need to go to settings, and I think it's, where is it? Build settings, build configuration, might be this one. No, I'm looking for the where is it? Okay, let me pause for a sec. Okay, so this seems to be a sort of a bigger problem that I'm not necessarily prepared to solve right this minute, but let's try and do this. See if we can get it running locally first. npx xi generate. So I just want to run it locally just to see if this is just a versioning problem. So it did create an output folder. That output. Okay, and it is generating the file. So it might just be a versioning problem with Cloudflare. So I guess the question is, what can we do to solve that? I'm not sure. Well, actually, there is one thing that we can do. So I can take that output that I just generated. I can take that out. Here's what I can do. I could take that output. So here's what I can do. I could go to okay, so the output directory, output /public. Actually, you know what? That's the actual directory. So that might be the case too. Let me just double check if I change that, what happens. Go back here. I made a mistake on cancel deployment. Let's go to settings and then build configuration, and that should be output /public. I don't think that makes a difference in this particular case, but it's still relevant. Now, so here's what I'm going to do. Instead of like having to try to get Cloudflare to build, which is obviously failing because their, let's call it, the tool system is not up to date. Let's just say that that's what it is. I'm not 100% certain, but let's just pretend that's what it is. What I'll do is I'll change the Cloudflare directory and change the build configuration to none. We won't do a build command, and then what we're going to say is we're going to take the build output directory from this. So no build command, no number, is just going to go look in directory for that folder for the files. We're going to save that, and what I'll do is just trigger an artificial build, sorry, the artificial change. Sometimes making an artificial change is so hard. So launch it, ready. Okay. Okay, so with that, what's going to happen is obviously it's going to trigger a thing. In this particular case, it's not going to try to do a build from, see here it says cloning, building, deploying to Cloudflare. So it's just basically skipping that build process. It's just looking directory for the folder where those files are, and it's just going to pull the files that I generated, and it's just going to upload it directly. So I'm just saying, Cloudflare, just don't trust me. It's okay. I know what I'm doing, and that should work. So there. So it did give me a URL. Let's just find out if it perfect. Okay. So just to recap, because I might have been a little bit confusing with what I did there, just to bypass the build system. So the way how Nux works is that you have, you could run it locally, but you could do an npx nuxi dev. Okay, and that allows you to run it locally and see the website. When you run it locally, you're kind of in debug mode and you're sort of working on the code access level. What Nux needs to do is it needs to compress all that file and then give you sort of like an HTML output, which is basically what the entire web is about, right? It's just all HTML and JavaScript in the simplest format. And so what it does when you do npx nuxi generate, it builds all of the code and compresses it and tighten it up and clean it up and all that kind of stuff, and it puts it in the output directory under the public folder. If you just took that public folder, if you notice there's all HTML files here, you can pretty much run that anywhere. You could even run that on your local computer. So all I did is told Cloudflare, ignore all the build systems that we were talking about before, just go look directly into that public folder, take the files from there and just put it on the internet. Like just do that for me. And that's basically what it did. So that's how I'm able to get to that at this particular URL. So that's it. We're live. I'm 33 minutes in. I might trim down this video. I don't know as yet, but hopefully you got some value out of that. The problem with development is that things just go wrong. You just got to figure it out. So hopefully you got some value out of that, but this is a functioning website, not necessarily 100%. It's not sign up ready as yet, but in a couple hours I'll have that thing. The form and stuff, you could just hook it up to any sort of make.com form or something like that just to get the details. I'll do that in another video if that's something of interest to you guys. All right, with that, if you got some value, please like and subscribe. I will see you in another video. Have yourself a wonderful day.